We'll get some rhythm started here and see what happens.
Today is a video I am super excited about, all about how to light a cigar. And so there's so many misconceptions about lighting cigars, there's so many methods to lighting cigars, and I'm just gonna run you through the most common, the most practical, and then I'm gonna show you how I do it. I'm also gonna show you the most unpractical, which is pretty cool too. First thing I guess we should talk about is soft flame, okay? So this was the original. Before torches were such a big deal, you had to use a soft flame. Now this is a little bit harder of a soft flame, but the whole idea for me to lighting a cigar is you gotta get that foot of the cigar nice and toasty without charring too much of the cigar. And that starts to look amateur and feel amateur when the whole tip of your cigar is black. Okay, so what we want to do is get the whole cigar red so it's nice and toasted. And we've got a nice cherry on top. Okay, so the second method to lighting a cigar is using a torch. This is a flat flame torch, but it's still a torch nonetheless. And so with a torch, you're going to do essentially the same exact thing, which is toast the foot. But now you're using a torch. You have to be much more careful not to char the cigar too deeply. So I'm looking for all red on this. Now I'm going to show you the way that most people do this, and then at the very end I'm going to show you the way that I do it. Okay? And so this is the way you'll see most people light their cigar. They toast the foot, and then got that nice cherry, right? So the most important part of lighting a cigar is making sure that it gets evenly lit in the beginning of the cigar so that as it burns, it doesn't burn uneven, which a lot of cigars will start to burn uneven at some point just because of how the leaves are folded inside. But you want to at least initially start out your cigar with a nice even burn. And so that's the torch method. Yet another method, and this is how I smoke Cuban cigars. All Cuban cigars boxes typically come with a sheet of cedar. And so what you can do is break the cedar down into little cedar spills. You can also buy cedar spills online. And you can light your cigar with the cedar spill. Now, there's methods to this even where I can light the cedar spill and then toast and toast and toast. But you're talking about you better be outside. It's going to get very ashy. This is going to be cedar flying everywhere and stuff. I typically just light the cedar and then puff, puff, puff. And even that can be hard enough to get the entire cigar burning evenly from the beginning. It definitely gets a little bit of that wood, that cedar wood, through the cigar, which I actually think is really enjoyable, especially in a lighter body cigar like a Cuban or a lighter body Connecticut shade, etc. So let's check that out.
We'll get some rhythm started here and see what happens.
So I'm just touching up one little area I saw that wasn't lit. And then I'm going to quickly put this out because this is going to drop. And I got a little bit of that essence of the charred cedar coming through the cigar, which is a very common flavor in cigars in the first place, and I think there's also a reason why they pack these things in cedar. And again, evenly lit. Some of the best smoking experiences I've ever had came from lighting a cigar with cedar, okay? And again, you can, if you really want to be a purist, sit there with cedar spills and toast it and toast it and toast it, and then take it away from the cedar, but actually enjoy some of that charred cedar coming through in the first few puffs, again, especially for a more mild cigar or a Cuban cigar. I always do it with Cuban cigars, and I love it. I really enjoy it. Again, some of my favorite smoking experiences have come from using a cedar spill. I also want to talk about how to light a closed foot or a shaggy foot cigar. This is a cigar that is kind of unfinished at the end or closed with the tobacco. The idea behind this is we want to get only the wrapper in the first few puffs, which is pretty cool. So you start off with just the wrapper taste, and then you go into the wrapper and the fillers. And because of that, I don't see any other way to light a closed foot cigar other than just by smoking it like you would anything else. So I got that initial puff of just wrapper, okay? I think it's a dream. And now I'm evenly lit. And so that's how you do, that's how you light a closed foot cigar, okay, or a shaggy foot cigar. It can get messy, but again, they did it that way because they want you to taste a little bit of just the wrapper at first. So for that, just puff away. So the last method of this is, I won't say the most purest form, because the most purest form would be taking that cedar spill, okay, and just toasting. We're talking about 2-3 minutes, you know, of toasting to get everything smoking. It might take a few cedar spills to get everything smoking, okay, before you take that first puff. And the idea behind that is you're lighting it off wood and you're not pulling any of the wood, charred wood, through the cigar, so it's not affecting the flavor at all. Okay, that is the most purest form of how I know how to smoke a cigar. The second to that is, I'm going to call it the Cigar Aficionado method because I learned it from Cigar Aficionado, and it's called the 3-match method. A lot of you may have heard of that. And this is where we take 3 cigar matches to light a cigar. We never pull it through. In fact, the right way to do this is by not cutting the cap until it's fully charred. So we're going to check that out now. Might be tough for me to do in my hands, but usually you need a holder or something for the cigar. So let's do that now. Okay, so we have our matches here, and I love Davidoff matches because they make them long enough for the cigar, and I just love to read this every time I'm about to smoke, which is time beautifully spent. I think that's a great way to describe the time you spend smoking cigars. Pretty cool. Anyway, kind of embodies some of the passion that we have. So this is going to be tricky for me to do without a table, but I'm going to figure it out, okay? Again, I have not cut this tip yet, all right? I have not cut this at all. This is the 3-match method, aka the Cigar Aficionado. And see, this is the problem that I have with matches, is just keeping them lit. And so, you're looking to toast the foot without charring the cigar. I'm sorry if this doesn't show up well on camera, but I'm trying not to char the heck out of this thing. and it's not easy. Okay, and we're gonna get another match out here. And I've got a little burn going. I don't want to suffocate the flame, but I want to get close enough to the center of the cigar so I'm not just charring the outside. And then I'm starting to get a little bit more the hang of it with the distancing. Flame distancing, number one name in cigar lighting. And now I've got the whole thing lit in 2 matches, but I'm going to do a third just to stay true to the aficionado method. And again, this is a lot easier when you have a cigar stand. Okay? And the idea behind this is because you're not pulling the smoke through the match, or you're not pulling the match smoke through the cigar, you're not getting any of the sulfur, and you're not getting any of the burned wood. Okay, now I had originally charred the cigar just a little bit, but that has gone away now. It's kind of fixed itself with making sure the cigar is completely lit. And I am now ready to cut my cigar. Now, I must say that out of all the ways that we've lit a cigar so far,
we'll get some rhythm started here and see what happens.
this way, to me, is probably the most pure because it gives off less smoke than the cedar spill does, and you're not taking any of the smoke through the cigar. So it's not affecting that cigar whatsoever. And when I puffed this cigar, I did feel like I was just tasting the cigar. Not wood from the match, not wood from the cedar spill, not any fumes or anything like that. And I hadn't puffed it yet. So it was really cool to do that. And I will probably start doing this more often with special cigars, like your Privada cigars. That's nice. I was gonna knock it, but I actually think that this might be the best way to smoke a cigar for the purist in you, okay? And lastly, I'm gonna show you how I light a cigar on the regular, okay? Now, this is a bigger ring gauge cigar than what we've lit so far, so it's gonna take a little bit more toasting. I'm gonna have to get a little more surgical with it, but this is how, and the draw is perfect to show you. This is the Brian or the Privada method of lighting a cigar, and this is how I do it when I'm out and about or at home alone. But I might start using that 3-match method, especially when I am rating cigars for the club or doing the tasting notes. And so here we go, y'all. We are toasting the foot, being careful not to char too much. I'm gonna hit the edges. And I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go around, I'm going to hit the edges, I'm going to go in, and around. You see it start turning red. Okay, and what we're looking for is the entire thing to turn red. And then is to not take any of the flame through the cigar. I do something a little different than most people. And some people find it completely obnoxious. One thing you can do is just do that. Okay? And that's gonna get it all well rounded, but what I do is and if you notice, there's smoke coming out the front of that. And that's what I look for in a looser to decent draw. Yeah, I mean, all around, for time, energy, potential win situations, out in public. I mean, doing 3 matches, doing cedar spill, this can all get messy, time consuming, and like, it is what it is. It's just, sometimes you just want to smoke the cigar, right? And I'm always, you'll notice in videos and stuff, I'm blowing on that often. I'm trying to keep the whole thing lit. We don't want the cigar to start waving. To me, this is the best all-around way to smoke a cigar. One thing that I find, I don't know what the word is for it, maybe redundant, is when someone spends a lot of time toasting the foot of the cigar and then takes the lighter to the cigar at the end to light it. Because to me, the whole idea is, even though butane or this torch butane is supposed to be odorless, you're still getting something through that cigar. And why did you take so much time to toast the foot and then light it with the, you know what I'm saying? So that's where blowing on it, which a lot of pro grillers, my father-in-law, ancient methods of grilling, they tend to fan charcoal when they're lighting it to get it to light. You can also do this. I've seen some cigar sommeliers do this. They're lighting a cigar for someone and they don't want their mouth to touch it. Okay, you toast, get air through it, toast, get air through it. See it's fully lit, bam, you can hand it to the person that you're lighting the cigar for. So that is my method, the Brian method. Toast, 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 blow through, puff. And I love this method. I'll probably never stop using it. Lastly, there's nothing wrong with just lighting it with a torch like a normal person. So those are the main ways and methods on how to light a cigar. And again, sometimes I see people struggling, they're charring the whole, I'm like, dude, just light it with the torch. It's really not going to change it that much, getting some torch, flame through the cigar. Nothing wrong with that. Just as good as all of this stuff, but just make sure, no matter which method you use, that the entire thing is fully lit. There's nothing worse than seeing someone light a cigar where half of it's lit and the other half isn't. You're setting yourself up for burn issues. It's a good cigar. Shout out to Gabby Caffey. Doctor, another good one. All right, y'all, I hope you've enjoyed the methods on how to light a cigar properly. If you want to leave a comment below telling me how you light cigars, if you use a different method, or let me know which method you use that we just went over. Really appreciate your liking, commenting, subscribe, and like. Peace.
Liza Jane, Liza Jane.